Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm here with Lawrence HAFFMANS, and she is giving our parenting class for visibly engaged parents. And Lawrence is a sophrologist. Uh, she would explain what a sophrologist is, and also a mindfulness coach for children. And for today, she would be sharing with us sitting still like a frog, which is a mindfulness technique that she's sharing in her classes. So I'll leave it the floor to you, Lauren. So can you tell us about what is sophrology first, and then we can go into the mindfulness.
Okay. Well, first of all, Lana, I would like to thank you because I'm very happy to be here today. I'm really, yes, very happy to talk about this subject. And thank you for this invitation. And sophrology, it's a very good question because, in fact, it doesn't exist here in the Netherlands. It's very well known in France. It means that we work with breathing techniques, relaxation techniques, and positive visualizations. So for me, it was quite logical in a way then to become a mindfulness trainer for children because mindfulness, in fact, is in sophrology because it's about bringing back your attention right now without any judgment. And it's exactly what we do also in sophrology. Of course, it's different, but we are not going to talk, I think, about sophrology today, but about mindfulness for children. So, because I've been living here in Amsterdam for quite a long time, my husband is Dutch. We have two daughters, 14 and 13 years old. For me, it was very tempting and logical to do this, to get this diploma, to learn this method with Eline Snell, because she's a Dutch therapist and she has invented this method. Sitting still. I mean, the book, very famous, is Sitting Still Like a Frog. Maybe you have heard about it, and it's also with a CD for the children. And the method is called Mindfulness Matters. So what's very interesting to know, I think, is that it was not like this, I'm going to develop a method, from one day to the other day. It's because, in fact, her daughter, Anne Marlene, and now I don't know how old she is, but I think 25 or something like this, when she used to be a child, had problems with sleeping. Mm-hmm. And she told Eline then, well, mommy, I want to sleep, my body wants to sleep, but in my head, I hear voices and then I can't sleep. What should I do? And in a way, of course, it took some time, but Eline developed this method without, in fact, knowing it. And what happened also is that schools started also to ask her, could you please develop a method so that it could also help children? So that's the way she created it. It's also very interesting to know that the method is based on the mindfulness stress-based reduction program developed by John Kabat-Zinn. I get to know him, the doctor. He has a private clinic in Massachusetts, difficult word for me in English, sorry, and specialized in anxiety and depression. And like the MBSR, Mindfulness Matters has also 8 sessions. Mm-hmm. As mindfulness trainer for children, I had to attend, but I had done it anyway already, the MBSR for adults. And I must say that, this method for children is also very interesting for adults. So it was very nice for me to do this. And honestly, I didn't expect it, this way. In a way, I think, surprised myself. And it's also very nice and really amazing to see the results with the children. We'll talk about this later, I think. What's also very interesting for me is that I work with very young children, because this method has been developed for very young children. So I start with children who are 5 years old. And I can go on with children till 14. So this is also very interesting, because the idea is that once you have attended, for instance, the 8-week course, if you feel like, and if the parents are also motivated, you can say, a few months later or maybe 1 year later, I can attend 8 more sessions, and then you can, of course, you see you can progress, because Eileen has developed the method for different ages.
Wow.
But it's really very nice to start with very young children, and it's really what I love, because then it's a wonderful present you can give them, and so that they become happy teenagers and later, you know, happy adults. So this is really wonderful, and I'm very grateful about this. So regarding the method itself, well, there are 8 sessions, every time a different topic. So first of all, I will show you, I work with, of course, a frog. Very nice frog, and children just love it. Then I also work with this one, which is also very nice, because in fact I explain to the children, you see that sometimes we have many thoughts, and well, it's not clear in our heads, but like this, and mainly thanks to the breathing in the belly, but also, you know, because of the awareness in the body, you know, you can come back to the now, and then, you know, everything is calm and everything is clear, you know, and you feel much better. So this one is also very nice. But what they really love are these ones, the bell. You see? And well, during the first session, we have an exercise with this bell. And the idea is that the child is going to count, you know, starting at the moment he hears the sound till he doesn't hear it anymore. And it's really magic. I mean, to see the children concentrating and listening to the sound. So I will also, you know, for you. And they are very proud, you know, to do this. And it's very, I would say, very clever to use this, because it's at the beginning every time of an exercise or for a meditation, and at the end. So it's very clear for the child, you know, okay, it's going to start now and it's going to end now. I also wanted to mention one thing is that, you know, I love to explain to the children that when we go to the sports school, or the parents go to the sports school, they are going to train their muscle. Well, not me, but some people do this, you know. And then, well, what we are going to do during our sessions is that we are going to train our attention muscle. So I think it's a very nice image. So the first session is really about bringing this notion of attention, you know. And we do some small exercises so that they can notice that when they are really concentrated, well focused, and also they can remember things better. So they love kind of exercises. And then in the second session, we talk about the body, because unfortunately, very often how our body has to listen to us, but we don't listen to our body. So for instance, I tell them, you know, in the morning when you get up, and then you want to go to school, or you have to go to school, you don't ask your legs, please, well, first, how are you doing today? And please bring me to school, you know. So it's very interesting to ask questions, and for instance, to ask them, you know, when you are tired, for instance, what is your body telling you, you know? So for instance, you know, heavy, well, I don't know, everything is possible, of course, but you know, when you are hungry, you know, what's happening, or different kind of questions. And what's also very nice is that then there is a drawing with a frog and 2 children. Well, I got a present, in fact, and one child forgot his drawing, but it's very nice because now I can show you. You see, and then they draw different parts of their body, and then the idea is to use different colors so that they can, you know, experience again when they had pain in their body. And was it a lot of pain or little, or, you know, was it in the belly, or, well, whatever, wherever. And for instance, this is the drawing of a girl. Very nice frog, very interesting. Well, the green part is, well, I have never been there. I feel really wonderful. So it's so sweet, you see. And then the belly, well, the belly is not wonderful. So sometimes she has pain there. And this one, well, from a little boy. And then also, you see, where he had pain. And it's very nice because then they tell really many things, you know, like, well, this happened when I was 3 years old and then I fell and then I was very sad, and, you know, these kind of stories. So it's very interesting. Of course, also showing how does it feel when I feel good? Because, of course, it's not only when I feel bad, but it's also good that they realize what they feel in their body. You see, very interesting to talk about this. The third session is, I think, the session they love the most. It's about the five senses. It's about experiencing, because we tend to think all the time, to judge all the time. And thanks to our five senses, we can really, you know, come back to the now. So just like for the MBSR for adults, I use resin, but the idea is to really play the game, I would say. And we pretend that we come from another planet. And we have never seen this before. And with our five senses, we are going to look, you know, to smell, to touch, to listen, and of course, to taste, but in a very special way. And they really love it. So what's happening very often is that they ask me, can we do it also, next session? And sometimes I say, okay, we can start, you know, and once we are done with the session, maybe if we have time, we can do it once again. And it was very funny because before I forget, a mother told me her child, 5 years old, was doing this with pâté with her grandparents. So she told me, oh, we are fed up now with this thing. She's doing it all the time, you know. And I really loved it because I thought, wow, it's very nice. So, you know, I'm happy when, of course, I hear these kind of things. Then the other sessions for younger children, in fact, we talk about the basic emotions also with older children, but for the youngest ones, we split, which means that we talk about anger and fear in one session, and in the other one, joy and sadness. And well, I must say that a lot happens during these sessions because they can talk a lot, you know, about their emotions. And of course, I don't push them because they tell me whatever they want. But sometimes they talk a lot, you know, like sometimes a small girl told me, well, I'm very angry at my father because he lied to me, you know, because he had another wife, or, you know, this kind of really heavy stuff can also come. But sometimes it's because friends didn't want to play with him or with her at school, you know, or because, for instance, sadness when the child hear the parents fighting together, you know, all these kind of things. And then what's very interesting is that we pretend we have this emotion, and then I'm asking, okay, how is your body? For instance, when you are angry, can you show me? Can you remember a situation when you were angry? Was it this week or the week before, or maybe a few weeks? You know, it doesn't matter, of course, but it's to, you know, get the feeling. And then, well, for instance, like this, you know, and then you feel it in your head. Or so it really depends, of course, on the children, but it's usually, these are very interesting conversations. And they love it. And then they get stickers, and then they have to use these stickers, you know, during the week, and then to notice, well, what was the emotion? Because I forgot, and it's very important to mention this, that the homework is very important. So for me, the book is mandatory. The parents really have to read the book. Well, have to, of course, I can't check, but that's the idea. If they are involved anyway, they love reading the book. And the CD is for the children. When the children are really young, of course, it's very good. It's better if the parents can support the children and say, oh, let's do the exercise, or shall we do them now? And of course, bedtime is quality time. And I would say it's a very good moment to do these exercises together. This is very important. And for the older children, they get a small book, and then they get extra homework. And in a way, after each session, I send a report to the parents so that they know what we have done during the sessions. Of course, I don't tell them, that's not the idea, what the child told me, but I tell them what we have been doing so that they can also practice together with the child. You know, for instance, regarding the emotions, it's very interesting if the parent can ask, you know, in the daily life, oh, I can see that you are angry right now. Can you show me? Where do you feel it in your body? Could you give it a form, a shape, or a color? You know, so that's why it's very important that the parents are also involved. You see. So I think it's a very important remark. That's why also I'm not really convinced, but I'm not sure about this, that it's good to do this as an activity after school. Because, you know, sometimes it's the idea of dropping the child and then, you know, it's an extra activity and okay, but the parents should be really also involved, I think, if we want it to work. Because going once a week to the session is nice, but it's much better if the whole family, but we'll talk about it later, practice. Okay?
Yeah.
So, then we have another session about conscious movements, which is also very interesting because then it's about learning the limits of the body. Which means, of course, that when you know the limits of your body, when you are an adult, for instance, it's more difficult to get a burnout because you won't go further than the limits of your own body. So they love it because we do gentle movements, for instance, being a butterfly or a frog or a bird, you know. So we do a movement. Okay, what do you feel? Do you feel pain? How is your breathing right now? What do you notice? You know, and of course, when you get pain, you notice that you stop breathing. So it's very interesting for the children to notice all these things. And for some of them, it's really, wow, I didn't know, this is new for me. You know, it's very interesting to notice this. An exercise they really love also is making soup, you know, like with this movement, you know, and what do you feel, you know, and then we cut, you know, the vegetables and making the meeting balls, you know, meatballs, and then, you know, like, well, what do you feel, you know, when you do this movement? Oh, I have pain in my back, or, you know, on my side. So it's very nice, and of course it's a lot of fun. But this has been, I think, very clever from Eileen because this method is very playful, and that's why the children just love it. So then we have two more sessions. One is about imagination. Also very important, and this we have a lot in sophrology, of course, with positive visualizations, because sometimes when you feel sad or when you feel lonely or angry, whatever, it's very good. It can be very useful to contact these images again. No? Really what we have a lot also in sophrology, but anyway, there is a lot, you know, very, very similar things. So for instance, we work with real images. So for instance, you know, I ask the child to imagine that he or she is in his or her bedroom. So really real images. But for instance, then another story, and then, well, he will have really to use his or her imagination, for instance, with his favorite animal. And there is also a very nice one with a wishing tree. I mean, well, a lot of imagination, you know, it's very interesting. Very interesting also for me to notice that some children have a lot of imagination, and some children, it's very difficult.
Oh.
But of course, you know, it's only a question of being aware of this, without any judgment. Well, just, noticing. As usual. And then the last session is about kindness. So a very, very nice session. It's a different session, by the way, for all the children, because then it's about happiness. But the idea, anyway, during these sessions, it's very important to notice that we work also about compassion and empathy, and a lovely session, and very strong, of course, because what do I feel, for instance, when I give a compliment to you? And how do I feel when I get a compliment? And it's very, 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 very powerful. So they really they love it. So this is about the 8 sessions, I would say. And then what I would like to share with you is about, what I experience or the feedback, you know, I get from parents or from children. And and I wanted to show you, these pictures, because look, this is, for instance, the first session. You see? When we work with the bell and then talk about attention, and well, usually it's not about only talking, of course, it's about experiencing. Then the body, so cute, huh? Then the 5 senses. like, well, what's this? Then emotions, this one of course is anger.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one was joy, as you can
Mm-hmm.
notice. And then conscious movements, so this was the frog. Well, I like, showing pictures because maybe then you can see more, what we do also. You get an idea. Imagination, this was the bird. And then the last one being fun. Being kind is nice. Being nice is fun, sorry. So, well, regarding then what I experienced or what I can say about these sessions is that, when the whole family practices, there are more results. And I would like to talk about this child, 5 years old, John Case. He came to a session and then I asked him, oh, so you were on holiday. So how was your holiday? And then he told me, well, it was very nice. And at one point, I told my mommy to do her breathing exercises. And then, my grandmother was happy. She was happy. And everybody was happy. Well, of course, you can imagine. When I hear this, I am also very happy. But it means, and it's really wonderful, that, he has really, how do you say this in English? The method is for him, it's very natural, He knows that when he gets angry, when he's sad, he can always contact his body, always go back to his belly, to his breathing. And then he knows, because he has experienced it himself, and that's the point, that then he gets calm. You see? And then during the sessions, he was telling me regularly, I feel so good. I feel so calm. You see? Well, when this happens, of course, it's very nice. But what I wanted to try to explain is, he was even able to tell his mother, well, she does sophrology sessions with me, but I mean, even if she was not doing, because parents can practice, of course, with, the book and the CD. So, if you do the exercises together with your child, hands on the belly, and then you experience, of course, also the breathing. And, if you do it correctly, of course, at one point you will feel, because it's not possible otherwise, even if you shouldn't expect anything, of course, no expectation and no judgment, that at one point maybe you will feel calm. Because in your belly, there are no thoughts. I don't say that everything is calm, but, you don't think there. So this was really very interesting for me. What's also very interesting is to notice that the children have a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure at school, but also a lot of pressure sometimes, of course, from themselves, and they put pressure on themselves, but also from their parents with too many activities. So I had a girl, 10 years old, very nice. And they are all nice, of course. But we were talking, and I was explaining to her, it would be very nice if you could do, the breathing, for instance, taking a break, doing at home, because it's very nice to doing together now, but it's also very important to practice. And then she looks at me very seriously. And then she tells me, well, I don't think that you know how is my life at the moment. 10 years old. In the morning, I get up. Then I have my breakfast. Then I brush my teeth and I go to school. I have to hurry. Then I come home. I eat something. Then I go to, she had many activities, so ballet or athleticism or, Then I come home. Then I ask my mother if I can rest 5 minutes. But then she tells me that I have to hurry to take my shower. And then I have dinner. And then I go to bed. So when do you expect me to do this? And she was very, very serious. So then I just looked at her and I thought, my God, I mean, every day like this, it's just not possible. So I think it's also a very interesting message, to tell parents that it's very important to let the child be a child, and these moments are very important, because even if the child is bored, I would say it's very good, because it's during these moments that he's going or she's going to be very creative. You see, and also if you run all the time, I mean, it's not possible, and it's not possible for adults either. But you see, it's really a question of realizing this. So For instance, I don't do this often, but in this case, I talked to the parents. And for her, for instance, also reading was very important. So, well, she's able now to read a bit more, for instance, in the evening, so that she has also time, for herself. And now regarding the breathing and the exercises, I'm very happy because now she does this at school.
Mm.
She knows, she has, it's exactly the same, she knows how to use the method. And then, well, she knows that, for instance, if she's at school and her friends are ready, they are not ready and she's ready, she knows that, anyway, nobody notices, when you do this, the breathing. And, well, or when she goes to the toilet, or, for instance, at 10 in the morning when they have a break, she can also do it. So I'm very happy also about this, that child, and usually they know how to use it, you see. And that's also the idea. It's not only coming here and doing this together during the sessions.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is to be able to practice and to do it in your daily life. That's the point, of course. And that's why you have, I would say, formal practice and informal practice. And I really insist also in this. But that's why they need the support of the parents, you see. So, for instance, the child is watching a movie, and then the mother or the father can just ask, how is your breathing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Or the child has jumped and or run or climbed the stairs, and then the same question, how is your breathing right now? So the child has to come back to the here and now, you see, to the body, and to the breathing in particular, to notice, feel. So this is also very important. Well, what I wanted to share also is that with young children, but anyway, in general, you don't know, what's going to happen, because sometimes I get this question from parents. Well, how can we be sure, that, well, it will work? We never know, of course. It's like the idea of planting seeds, and we'll see. Of course, the support and practice is very important, but for the rest, we don't know. But a very interesting example for me as a mindfulness trainer is that once I started with a very young child, and honestly, for me, I thought it's a bit too young. So I was a bit hesitating about going on or not for the second session. And in fact, what you notice is that children, they get things, you see? And in the end, well, it works. I mean, it works. Well, depending, I don't know how to explain this, but for a child, it's going to be wow, to change really his life. And for other children, it will be like small things, but still it's a lot. So for instance, this example of a very young girl, and then starting the session, I told her, okay, so now we are going to do a small exercise, the kikara, the frog breathing. And she looked at me and she said, no way, we're not going to do this. I'm going to give you a concert. I thought, okay. So, it's interesting to see as a trainer, to see my thoughts, coming then like, oh my God, today is not going to work. And okay, just let it go, being in the now with the child. And what happens is that she took these ones, you see. She had also, how do you say in English, a flute, and also a tambourin, and then she started hitting all these instruments at the same time. So it was a real chaos. And then I started really laughing. And then she looked at me and then she said, joy. And I think that I looked at her, like a bit surprised, because I didn't get it at the moment, because she was giving the concert. And then she looked at me and she said, well, we are doing the session about emotions, right? You are happy. And, I thought, yes, and that's the way it really works. And, some exercises they prefer to others. It really depends also which kind of, what type of child it is, but also, the age, and some children are more quiet and some, prefer jumping. So for instance, we have an exercise she also loved a lot. She really loved. I had used the music, happy. And then it was about dancing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
She was very much surprised at the very beginning. So dancing, and then stop, you know. And then you stop and then you feel in your body what's happening right now. And she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to keep on doing this exercise because she just loved it, you know, like the resin, you know. It's, yeah, some exercises they really love, but it's very interesting to notice that in the end, there are always, you know, things happening. Maybe not today, but well, you know, they think a lot and they know a lot and they feel a lot, experience a lot. So it's very interesting for me to notice this. Also, as well, usually because I didn't talk about this, children come because, for instance, they have sleeping problems.
Mm-hmm.
Parents, for instance, who are getting divorced and they are problems experiencing, you know, emotions, talking about emotions. I had also a girl because she was hitting her friends at school, and she even didn't notice that she had hit. I mean, you know, like hyperactivity, ADHD. What else? Well, it's a lot like this, you know, sleep, emotions, moving all the time. Well, it can be, you know, many things, of course. Also, what happened is that once got bullied at school. So
Mm.
that's very difficult. She didn't want to go to school anymore. And also what I see is that some children, because of anxiety, develop talk. I don't, do you call it talk in English or tick? You know, like for instance,
Yeah.
yeah, we say talk in French. So, for instance, talking about this girl who was hitting at school and she was moving all the time during the sessions, you know, it was very interesting with her to see the difference. Along the sessions, you know, like she told me very honestly, you know, the first session I did the exercises because you told me to do them, or, you know, I said, I know I knew I had to do them, but I was not feeling, you see. So it
Mm.
was very interesting. Also very interesting and very clever from the parents, I must say, to realize that they were both very busy. So what they did is that they asked their babysitter to get involved with it. And in this way, the child practiced much more, and I really could see the results. And the
Mm.
babysitter, oh, she told me, because I didn't have contact, you see, with the parents, they were both working. But in the end, the mother sent me an email to thank me, and she wrote, well, I am very happy because she told us that she had learned about the quiet place in herself. And this
Mm.
is very nice. You know, when the child tells you, I have learned about the quiet place in me, this is,
Mm.
I think, wonderful to hear this.
Yes.
So this is, you see, what can, well, sometimes happen. And the last thing I wanted to share with you also is that what I said, the last session is very powerful about, you know, being kind and giving a compliment. How does it feel, you know, to give a compliment or to get a compliment? And one mother told me after the sessions that she had heard her daughter. So that was not the idea that she was, of course, she was not listening, but well, she heard the conversation and she could hear her daughter telling her friends, well, we are going to do a game together. And what we are going to do is that we are going to give each of us the nicest compliment of the world. And I think this is wonderful if after school you invite a friend and you do this kind of game, you see, because,
Mm.
well, it's great. So, this is what I wanted to share with you. I wanted to show you also because Eline is very famous now in France with her method. And the book, Sitting Still Like a Frog, also. In French, it's Calme et attentive comme une grenouille. And she had a very long article in Paris Match, which is a French magazine, about this, you see, and this is Eline, about the meditation and about this method. And also interesting to know that now they are going to make research about the effects of this method.
Wow.
In particular. on the children. So
Lauren,
it's very good.
th- thank you for all the insights that you've shared. And for me, there's quite a lot that I'm taking home of. Oh yeah, something to ask my kids, how is your breathing today? So those small, small tips and techniques to try at home. uh can you just before we end, can you just share where it is that you practice, and where they can reach you?
Yes, of course. So I work in Amsterdam, and I work in French, English, and Dutch. And then, well, my website is Sofrosan. So you can find me on this one. And also my Facebook page is also Sofrosan, but also Mindfulness for Children in Amsterdam.
Yes.
Because Sofrosan is mainly in French, and Mindfulness for Children in Amsterdam, I have created this page, especially for non-speaking, non-French speaking people.
So I'll share this. They can join you at Facebook for your Mindfulness for Children Amsterdam, and they can email you at info@sofrasan.com.
Yes, exactly. And well, if you have any question, I will be very happy to answer, because for me, it's really a wonderful topic. It's really, well, it's great. I mean, well, it's wonderful to see what's happening to children. And of course, it's not like, I will guarantee that if your child attends, these sessions, this will happen. But I mean, many things happen. This is for sure. And I'm very happy, because till now, it's only positive feedbacks, or from the children or from the parents, or both of them. And it's great.
So we will be uploading the video, and for those who would like to ask questions, we'll put it in under the post, and I'll definitely keep you in in the loop of how I practice this with my kids, especially especially the how is your breathing today. I really found it as a very powerful technique.
Yes, and you can put, in hands here and one there, and feeling, just well, what's happening right now. And if you think that you prefer to install breathing in your belly, then you help yourself, with both hands on the belly. Very interesting to feel the movement without, a gentle movement, and you don't have to do anything, So it's very interesting.
So thank you again for your expertise and for sharing them with us. And I hope the parents who will be watching this video would get a chance to implement some of the techniques, some of the tips that you've shared. And like what I said, if they want to know more about what you do, they can email you at info@sofrasan.com.
Yes.
And they can also get in touch with you at the Visibly Engaged Parents Network, where they can message, we can share messages there. So thank you, Laurence. And
you're welcome. It was a pleasure.
And let's keep in touch.
Yes, of course.